Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to News Talk with yours truly, Chris Anu, coming to you from the great state of Texas, Houston, Texas, to be precise. Thank you for tuning in and for joining the platform with these updates from La République du Cameroon. Tonight, I will take you to the center, to the heart of La République du Cameroon in Yaoundé, where you may have seen it talks about a new constitution. A new constitution, it is always presented in the guise of revising the constitution. That will be my main subject for tonight. But also, I will take you to Bangolan, where it appears, finally, the font of Bangolan from Isaac Chafa has promised to return to Bangolan as Jesus returning to Jerusalem. We're going to be talking about that. And also, I have a very special message to the apostle in Boya, Apostle John Chi. If you know him out there, let him know I got a message for him here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That will be the subject of my discussion for tonight. Of course, I will be joined by my panel to do justice on these subjects. And of course, I will also open the phone lines to take your calls for this edition of News Talk. Please stay put. I will be right back. Join me and others this weekend for the global launch of my book, The Hypocrisy of the West. The Hypocrisy of the West. In Africa, the West preaches freedom but protects dictators. The West demands reform but rewards fraud and repression. Who says migration begins at the border? It begins where democracy dies. When change is unattainable, citizens leave, Africans leave. They cross deserts, they drown at sea, they vanish in the jungles. Those who arrive, the same Western powers that maintain these African dictators, call them illegal. This is not accident, this is policy. Again, join the explosive global launch of The Hypocrisy of the West this Saturday, February the 28th, featuring special speakers Professor Carlson Ayangwe, Susan Gates, Eric Chinje, and other powerful voices. Again, the date is Saturday, February the 28th, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 4 p.m. West African time. Look for the Zoom link and be there. Hello, Chris. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once more, thanks for tuning in tonight. I come to you with a discussion on what is apparently going to be a revision of the Constitution of La République du Cameroon. And that will be the subject of my first monologue for tonight. But of course, I'd like to remind you that we are formally launching my book, The Hypocrisy of the West, on Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. 10 a.m. I beg your pardon. 10 a.m. Eastern U.S. time and 9 a.m. Central U.S. time. And if you are in West Africa, and Ambazonia or Cameroon or Nigeria or Ghana, that will be 4 p.m. 4 p.m. In the course of the show, I will put the link, the Zoom link. It is going to be a virtual event, a Zoom virtual event. In the course of the show, we'll put the link on the screen for you to scan and have it to be able to attain the launching. But for the moment, I take you, ladies and gentlemen, into my monologue for tonight, which I titled Power First. Power First, Country Later. Power First, Country Later. That will be the subject of my monologue, and that has to do with talks in La République du Cameroon to change the constitution of that country. You can imagine how many times Biya has been in power for 44 years now, and you cannot count how many times he changed that damn constitution. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to speak plainly here. What is unfolding in Cameroon today is not governance. It is choreography. It is the calculated rearrangement of political future or political furniture inside a burning house while pretending the smoke is under control. The regime in Yaoundé has suspended local elections that were scheduled for next month, that is March. Suspended, not cancelled. Not rescheduled, simply suspended. No timeline, no clarity, no constitutional urgency explained to the people. Instead, the people are handed vague language about a constitutional revision. A new bureau at the National Assembly, to manage sessions. Modifications to unnamed state structures, bureaucratic phrases designed to sound technical, neutral, and procedural. But when power speaks in vague language, it is rarely neutral. Cameroon has walked this road before. The last major constitutional revision was not about strengthening democracy or modernizing institutions. It was about removing presidential term limits. That single stroke reshaped the political destiny of the nation. It cleared the path for Paul Biya to stand again and again, entrenching a presidency that has outlived generations. The Constitution was not treated as a sacred covenant between state and citizen. It was treated as a flexible tool of convenience. Now, another revision is on the table. And once again, the people are not told clearly what is at stake. The political class want the public to believe this is administrative housekeeping. But Cameroonians are not naive. The timing alone raises questions that cannot be dismissed. Elections are suspended. A constitutional review is announced. The president's health is widely discussed in huge but persistent tones. Political factions are repositioning quietly. The opposition is fragmented but restless. And somewhere in the shadows, negotiations are rumored. This is not coincidence, it is convergence. There is speculation that this revision could touch the very clause that once removed term limits. And while some might dismiss that as far-fetched, it is entirely consistent with the regime's historical pattern. The Constitution is amended when it serves power. It is preserved when it protects power. It is silent when silence benefits power. Let us examine the deeper context here. Issa Tchiroma declared the winner of the last election in certain quarters and now in exile in the Gambia. is reportedly preparing to return to La République du Cameroon. Allegations suggest he has been in talks with the regime about breaking the political impasse that followed that contested election. We hear of offers, 9 ministerial positions for him and his coalition, promises of electoral code reform before the next local elections, 9 ministerial posts. Think about that. In a country gripped by economic stagnation, insecurity, and a decade-long conflict in the southern Cameroon's regions, the conversation largely centers on cabinet slots and procedural reforms. If it is true, this reviews the core disease of Cameroonian politics: power sharing as conflict management, elite bargaining as national healing, patronage as reconciliation. Tchiroma is said to have rejected the offer, insisting that the people did not vote for him to negotiate away their mandate. That stance, if accurate, reflects political awareness. But realism also dictates that no incumbent entrenched in power for decades simply hands over the presidency out of goodwill. Doesn't happen. Negotiation becomes inevitable. The question is not whether negotiations will occur between Biya and Tchiroma. The question is, what are they about? What are the negotiations about? If the current suspension of local and regional elections and constitutional review mean anything at all, it suggests that discussions are not theoretical, they are strategic. When electoral timelines shift and constitutional mechanisms move simultaneously, it is rarely accidental. It signals recalibration at the highest levels. Prime Minister Joseph Dion Ngute is reportedly tasked, ladies and gentlemen, with reaching out to the other side. That phrase alone is revealing. Who is the other side? The opposition? Factions within the ruling party, the CPDM? International stakeholders? The Ambazonian leadership? The ambiguity itself is political currency. It allows multiple channels of communication while preserving deniability. But here is the central truth. None of these signals a sincere commitment to addressing Cameroon's structural crisis. Cameroon is not merely facing an electoral disagreement, not at all. It is confronting layered political dysfunction, a prolonged armed conflict in Ambazonia that has devastated communities, a centralized state structure that breeds resentment in peripheral regions, youth unemployment that fuels despair among the youths, an electoral system whose credibility is persistently contested, a political culture dominated by personality rather than policy. Yet, ladies and gentlemen, the current constitutional conversation does not begin with national dialogue. It does not start with decentralization reform. It does not prioritize judicial independence or transparent electoral oversight. It begins with institutional rearrangements within the National Assembly and vague structural modifications, according to what we have learned. This is not reform from conviction. It is reform from calculation. Leaders who are serious about resolving deep national crises begin by acknowledging the root causes. They summon inclusive dialogue. They open space for credible mediation. They empower independent institutions. They address grievances openly. Instead, in La République du Cameroon's Cameroon's political elite continues to operate within a closed circuit. Decisions are made at the top. Rumors filter down. The public reacts. The circle repeats itself. The constitutional review, as currently framed, appears designed to manage succession politics and elite balance rather than resolve national fractures. If Paul Biya's health truly raises questions about the continuity of leadership, then a conversation about constitutional clarity is legitimate. But legitimacy requires transparency. It requires open parliamentary debate, civil society engagement, and public consultation. None of that is visible. Not in Cameroon, La République du Cameroon. Instead, there is silence layered over suspicion. The deeper problem is this: Cameroon's ruling class has mastered the art of political survival, not political transformation. Survival politics is defensive. It reacts to threats. It calculates risk. It distributes concessions carefully. But it does not inspire trust. It does not solve structural grievances. It does not build durable institutions. The Ambazonia conflict, for example, stands as the starkest example here. Nearly a decade into the conflict, there has been no comprehensive political settlement. Military responses dominate headlines. Sporadic dialogue initiatives emerge and fade. Constitutional revisions are discussed, but not as instruments of genuine restructuring or autonomy arrangements. The core political question remains largely untouched. Why? Why? Because meaningful reform redistributes power, and redistribution threatens entrenched interest. So, instead, half measures are deployed. Administrative adjustments, cabinet reshuffles, committees and bureaus are created. The appearance of motion without the substance of change. The opposition too faces its own contradictions. Fragmented strategies, competing ambitions, and a delicate balance between principle and pragmatism complicate its ability to mount a unified front. If negotiations are happening now, they occur in a political environment where leverage is uneven. The regime holds institutional control. The opposition holds moral claims and fragmented constituencies. In such a context, constitutional revision becomes a bargaining chip. Will term limits be restored? Maybe, just maybe. Will they be reconfigured? Will succession rules be tightened, or will entirely new transitional mechanisms be crafted quietly to facilitate a controlled transfer within elite circles? These are the questions Cameroonians are asking, and they deserve clear answers too. but clarity would expose intent. And intent in politics can limit adjustability. What we are witnessing is not a country on the brink of democratic renewal, not at all, far from it. It is a state navigating internal power recalibration while avoiding open confrontation with its foundational crisis and conflicts. The suspension of elections without a rescheduled date undermines confidence. Elections are the primary ritual through which legitimacy is renewed. When they are paused without explanation, legitimacy is not strengthened, it is weakened. The talk of constitutional change without specifics fuels suspicion and speculations too. Constitutional engineering, in the absence of public consultation, appears less like reform and more like insulation. And the background rumors of negotiations with Issa Tchiroma or the opposition over ministerial positions reinforce the perception that political competition in La République du Cameroon is less about ideological direction and more about access to state resources. Until leaders demonstrate that constitutional reform is tied directly to resolving the Ambazonian conflict, strengthening electoral transparency, empowering local governance, and limiting executive overreach, skepticism will dominate. La République du Cameroon does not suffer from a shortage of legal texts. It suffers from a shortage of political will. The constitution can be rewritten, can be revised 12 times. Bureaus can be created and renamed again and again. State structures can be adjusted again and again. But if the fundamental political culture remains unchanged, centralized, opaque, transactional, the circle will continue. True seriousness about La République du Cameroon's future would look different. It would begin with an honest national reckoning. It would address the form of state not as rhetoric, but as reality. It would open space for opposition voices without coercion. It would treat constitutional reform as a national project, not an elite instrument. Until then, every revision will be viewed through the same lens. Who benefits? Who benefits? And as long as the answer remains those already in power, the suspicion will endure that Cameroon's leaders are still playing games with the constitution while the nation waits for genuine transformation. Power first, country later. That has been the script. The question is whether Cameroon's political class is finally prepared to rewrite it. And that is my monologue for you today, ladies and gentlemen. I am being joined from Europe by the Honorable Sama Thomas. Sama Thomas, it's a pleasure to have you. If you can bend your camera slightly, please. And I'm also being joined from London, the same thing where, if you can bend your camera slightly, Comrade Alex, being joined from London by the one and Honorable Maitre Alex Lissinger. It's a pleasure again having you, sir.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's always a pleasure to come to your program.
All right. So sorry for the long start of this program. Sometimes there are circumstances beyond our control because what we bring, unlike podcasters who just come and sit in front of the camera and say what they have to say. We actually script what we put out here, and we have to do research. We have to gather the facts to write monologues like the ones that I present here. And sometimes it takes so much time to get it together to come live. So my apologies for keeping you all waiting out there. Metro Lissinger, I start this with you. You are a lawyer, and you know so much about the Constitution. You were there in La République du Cameroon when they organized their so-called grand, that is very big national dialogue. And it's only been about, that was 2019, I believe. It's only been a few years, and now another review of the Constitution this time. What are they actually trying to revise? That is what I'm trying to understand here. Of course, we know that Biya will not see the end of his current 7 years term. So my question, which is only rhetorical, is, are they trying now to change the terms limit for the president? What are they trying to do there? We have also learned of negotiations ongoing with Issa Tchiroma. I spoke with somebody today before writing this monologue, and I am told, yeah, some forms of negotiations are going on. A few months ago, Jeune Afrique reported that Tchiroma was being offered 9 ministerial positions, and then a promise for the electoral code and the constitution to be reviewed before the next elections take place. And that if he had accepted this, he would be back in Cameroon. Now we've also been hearing of Tchiroma going back to Cameroon. We don't know under what circumstances. But two things in Yaoundé point to the direction that some negotiations are going on. Number one, there has been no candidate formation, which means it is very possible that the promise to Tchiroma may still be on the table. Number two, they've now suspended the elections indefinitely with no date inside, and they are now preoccupied with talking about a revision of the Constitution. Metro Alex Lissinger, what is happening here? What is inside here? Give me your take on this, please.
Yeah, Chris, when you say they want to revise the Constitution, what comes in my mind? The Constitution of La République is what? Paul Biya. So do they want to revise Paul Biya? Because at the end of the day, in a democratic country, a constitution a fundamental set of rules and principles, which does what? Talks about the structure of a country, the relationship between institutions, executive, legislative, and judiciary, and protection of rights. If you look at the current La République Constitution, there's nothing there like protection of rights. But you see, they will say the power of the president, the power of the legislative, the power of the judiciary, but there is no power of the citizens. All they do, they say Article 65. The preamble is part and parcel of the Constitution. So if you are somebody that you don't like to read, you won't know what it means. Except you go to the preamble, you see that Universal Declaration of Human Rights is part of the citizen's right. The Charter of the UN is part of the citizen's right. African Charter of Human and People's Rights is part of it. But the Constitution of Cameroon, they don't follow it. They say cannot torture somebody, they torture somebody. So if you look at the history of France Afrique, the former president of Chad once said, France asked him to change the constitution. He said he was not going to change it, they forced him. That's why they killed him. His son is there today. If you look at the history of Gabon, Léon Ban, the first president of Gabon, he was terminally ill. France asked him to change the constitution and bring a vice president. So he went now, he changed the constitution. They say you should make sure that there's no election if you die. He brought what? Omar Bongo.
Bongo.
A video there, he said, Monami, he put him number 2. After that, one month he went to France, he had cancer, he died. So the system in Africa, what we keep on talking, especially is France, Africa, the constitution is a window dressing exercise. It doesn't serve the people. Because at the end of the day, in the case of Cameroon, when you look at their constitution, they will tell you, Article 47 of the Federal Constitution, you don't have a right to change the form of a state. Then they revised the constitution. They brought another article, Article 64. You don't have the right to change the form of a state. So you have articles there upon articles, but they don't respect it. So sometimes when we sit, we talk about these things. I know we have to talk about it because we have no choice. But when you see, in 1960, the Constitution of La République du Cameroun, they adopted what? The French Fifth Republic Constitution. That's what in 1960 La République. So the French people, they in France, they have a homogeneous culture. But in La République, it is a heterogeneous culture. So how can you draft a constitution or you take a constitution from France and impose it with people with different culture? I'll tell you this. If you want to draft a constitution, it's very simple. You look at the nature, custom of the people. In France, they are homogeneous. In Senegal, they are homogeneous. In Cameroon, we are heterogeneous. You can never draft a constitution based on regions. You look at the culture because you're drafting it on people. Regions are administrative unit. We are not administrative unit. We are people. In the Cameroons, we have the French and English culture. Then we have our ethnicity. That's when you draft a constitution, that's how you look at it. But what La République is trying to do now is clear. They have been playing those games since 1960. Is they are looking how succession, how they can change somebody to go on. But they cannot do the Gabon way. What Liomba, the first president of Gabon, did by putting a vice president. Because if they want to put a vice president, their trouble now is the president cannot be from La République du Cameroun. And the vice president, if they put a Nordist, what happens to Southern Cameroonians? That is their problem. They could have changed it long ago, but they have that difficulties. So they love the system, what they are doing now. Senate president will take over. This will take over. This will take over. But once you put that thing, vice president, that's their problem. Because if a francophone from that country that had its independence on the 1st of January 1960, with different parliament, different authority, different territory, so you have to give that position to somebody from West Cameroon, Southern Cameroon, Northwest and Southwest. So that is their headache. That is their problem. Because they better leave it the way it is. You talk about that they can give, maybe they want to change the term of office. Those things are just window dressing exercise. They can say, today we have 2 terms of office. The 2 terms of office in La République, that's what? 14 years. That's what? 4 terms in America, 8 years and 7 years is not different for me. So by that time, when they spend that 14 years, when it's coming again, blah, 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 the president have established himself. Oh, the people want me again to be there. They're funging them. They will go and campaign again, change their constitution. I don't believe in those terms. We have our neighbor, Nigeria. They have 4 years, 4 terms. Why should you be having 7 years? I don't know prime ministers in the United Kingdom that can even spend 5 years. It is rare. But they give themselves 7 years. So at the end of the day, assuming that we are in favor of drafting or revising the constitution, Who should do it? Is it 180
Eh,
National Assembly
Fools.
members who don't represent us? Because those people, they don't represent us, the 180. Tell me one Anglophone, 35 members of National Assembly who represent the Anglophone. They don't. Because the Constitution of Cameroon, Article 63 says, amendment can only be proposed by the president or the members of parliament. Do the members of parliament, do they represent us? No. Do they reflect the people? No. So how can they be proposing to change something? I believe as citizens, anybody can talk about it. In Cameroon, all the constitution, they have never put it in a referendum for the people to vote. It's presidential decree. Because at the end of the day, from independence, La République adopted the fifth constitution of France. Then they came with their fake federal constitution. Then they came with their unitary constitution. Then Mr. Biya changed it again. They went back to La République. So at the end of the day, these people are playing with the life of our people. The constitution should reflect the people, not people who are in power. I understand a constitution is about the structure, the power, and protection of citizens. The most important part of a constitution is to protect the right of the citizen, and it's not in their constitution. So they are looking for succession. They are looking to replace Mr. Biya. I prefer to say it's not about revision of a constitution. I look at it like revision of a president, because the constitution of French African country is the president. L'état, c'est moi.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Let me get to Sama and get his thought on this. Who do you think this constitutional revision is meant to benefit, sir?
Thank you, Comrade Chris, for having me. And let me say hi to Maitre Lisingé. He has touched a lot on Mr. Paul Biya's Wadaland Republic's constitutional revision as they claim they want to. But for me, what they want to do is, like you've earlier said in your monologue, they want to come up with something about power conservation. That's what that is trying to do. They are not revising any constitution in that country. For anything they want to do is the power there has been constipated in such a way that there is no antidote that you can give to Paul Biya to pass it out and stop the constipation. So what they are doing is to consolidate more power. Maybe the revision they are talking about, that they want to revise their constitution, is to revise it in such a way that they will make Paul Biya a king and turn that triangle of hell into a kingdom with Paul Biya as the king, which the succession in that country will be a hereditary thing for Frank Biya to take over when the father leaves without an election. That's the only revision I think they can do. Again, if we want to talk about a constitutional revision, a proper constitutional revision in a country, you first of all have to come up with a committee, an independent committee of technocrats that will sit down to study various constitutions in the world that they've seen working and come up with proposals on the table to now debate upon and come together with an agreement of what they think can now be a constitution for the nation, after which they will put it to the people as for a referendum to be voted for such a thing to become a constitution, and not a dictator like Paul Biya talking about a constitutional revision is never going to work. When the American people of old wanted to draw a constitution for the United States of America, they brought in Thomas Jefferson as a lawyer and a constitutional expert to head a constitutional committee to draw a constitution for the United States. When Jefferson came in, he took the United Kingdom's constitution and said they cannot be working as novice. Let them work with something they've seen work practically. But they should remove those things that makes a king or queen of England to behave the tyrant and avoid it from putting or enacting it in the American Constitution. Is that what Paul Biya or La Republique is doing? No. They're talking about a revision of the Constitution. Who revises the Constitution? The kangaroo parliament there that does, as Major earlier said, does not represent the people. Are those the people that will revise the Constitution? From time immemorial, what have they revised? I heard Major Lisinga said that La Republique has a constitution. I'm wondering if they have a constitution. So far as I'm concerned, La Republique does not have a constitution that you can say, I'm quoting from this article of the constitution that the constitution says, the constitution says, no. If you are saying Paul Biya is the constitution, at any given moment that it pleases Paul Biya, will get up to tell the parliament, I feel that you guys can extend my mandate from 5 years to 7, renewable once to 14, which that time elapsed. He sent it to parliament. That crap of term limit should be scrapped out. That crap of term we have to scrap out. He doesn't want to bother himself again with another electoral system. So can you scrap that crap of elections and make me a king? With that type of parliament, what do we expect from it? Then in their succession line, even talk about succession in La Republique, I wonder if La Republique or Paul Biya can propose a thing in that parliament that they should even come up with a device which is not going to be his child to take over from him after he is done. So the only revision they will make is to make Paul Biya a king. There is nothing short of it. The only revision they will make in their constitution is to make him a king.
He's already king. He's been there for 44 years. He's already been king. I don't know what kind of king they want to make him. Eternal king, like the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, or what? I don't know. I don't know.
He's not satisfied with that acronym president. So he wants his rubber stamp parliament, and they call it parliament. But I think it would be better that we call it the Duma of old, during the days of Peter the Great of Russia. That is how we can describe that thing to be. It's a Duma that has nothing to contribute for the development of the state. It's concentrated in the House, so that's why he appoints parliamentarians and appoints senators. So what they're expecting from this people, they will only go to say, let us now make him a king, so that in turn this king can make us lords till we die. Our children become our successors. That's the only thing that is going on in that country.
Let's look at this other angle, the angle with Issa Tchiroma. I'm sure all of you know this. We were told something is happening in December. Something did not happen. I mean, that was coming from the Issa Tchiroma's camp. Something will happen in December. They said nothing happened. Something will happen in January. We did not see anything happen in January. They came on promise February is the month. In the meantime, Cameroon, the regime in Yaoundé, is reaching out to their camp and trying to negotiate with Issa Tchiroma, and we are told that Issa Tchiroma turned down the offer from Yaoundé. At what time? At what time does Issa Tchiroma realizes that the regime in Yaoundé is not going to hand power to them and walk away? Maybe just play the game and negotiate with them. At what time do they come to these terms? Both of you, who want to start first?
Let me start. Let me start. Let me start first. Let me go back a little bit. Let me go back memory lane or down memory lane. In 1994 or so, if I'm 1995, if I'm mistaken, no, 1994. Paul Biya talk of a unity government, a government of national unity with the SDF. So the SDF had to send late Justin Wakai to lead a delegation of 4 for those negotiations. When they went there, they had only 3 things in mind. That if Paul Biya wants a government of national unity with the SDF is demanding the Minister of Territorial Administration, Defense, Finance. When that information was passed, the chief negotiator of the CPDM, he asked the guys, "Is that all?" They said yes. When they left and went back to the CPDM hierarchy, that this is what those will demand. They said, "What? And you guys took it?" That is how those negotiations ended. It never came up again. Because they knew that if they hand over the Minister of Defense, Finance, and Territorial Administration to the SDF, the system is finished. So, why am I saying this? I am bringing this up to Tchiroma to say that if Paul Biya really wants a government of national unity with Tchiroma, he should demand for the Minister of Defense, Territorial Administration, Finance, and which other ministry again? Then he should also demand for the scrapping off of the prime ministerial position. He should also demand that there should be a committee to come up with a constitution which will not be controlled by the CPDM but by the Ministry of Territorial Administration, of which he, Tchiroma, is going to dictate how it is going to work. If that is done, he can now constitute an independent committee for the constitutional revision of that country that will come up with a constitution for La République du Cameroon and not revising anything in that country. There is nothing existing in that country as a constitution. When that is done, the very first thing they will do in that constitution is that the dictator that has caused all the havoc in that country for the past 60 years, meaning Ahidjo's corpse will even be judged before passing over power. Which constitutional right did Ahidjo have to pass over power to Paul Biya? And the havoc that Paul Biya has caused in that country, he should go down for it. If that is what they will accept, that Tchiroma should accept as a minister, as a government of national unity, let him go for.
If I may ask, what is the guarantee that Tchiroma's appointees may not be compromised once they get there by the regime?
Well, Tchiroma knows who to appoint. In this case, he is not going to appoint only members of his party. He's going to appoint but members of the coalition for Union for Change. So he's going to come up with technocrats that will head those things, that are people of conscience, that wants to see a change in that area called Cameroon, and not members of his party. To bring in members of his party to do the job, then I know he's not even different from the CPDM. If that's the way he's going to go, then he's not different from Paul Biya. But if he's sincere and asks for this and Paul Biya gives it to him, then meaningful change is on the way for La République, knowing fully well that Ngongo, who is the mastermind of all these things going on in La République, will not accept it.
Let me hear Maître Lissinger's own thought on this. Tchiroma going back to La République du Cameroon again, to me, it should not be a big deal, because eventually he knows that Biya is not going to hand over power to him. That is not going to happen. If that were to be done, it would have happened within the first 2 weeks of that October election. That did not happen because the pressure wasn't there. The people appeared to have been ready, but Tchiroma's camp wasn't ready. I have been reading some notes from his campaign manager, who just published a book about how the campaign was carried out and how there was no money and so on and so forth. But again, how many months after the election? I think about 4 months or so. Tchiroma should be realizing that Biya is not going to call him and hand him over the victory. So, should he not be negotiating at this moment? And if so, what strategically can he target Metro Lisinga?
To be honest, sometimes I don't like to get into certain conversation. Mr. Tchiroma knows the truth about the Cameroons, maybe more than myself because he has been working with that government. I remember when I was still a student in the university in Cameroon, Mr. Tchiroma was dismissed from Bello Buba's party. He was there crying. He's going to enter in Hilton Hotel. I know Mr. Tchiroma followed him for years. He was crying that they blocked the door. You cannot enter this UNDP. They were Bello Buba, Mustafa, Tchiroma, three of them. And when they had that their problem, what happened? Mr. Biya made sure that he appointed Bello Buba, Tchiroma, and Mustafa as ministers to divide them. So Tchiroma understands how the government of La Republique works because Mr. Tchiroma, he was accused of a coup in 1984. He was elected in the National Assembly in 1992. For 20 years, Mr. Tchiroma have been working with that government. He was Minister of Transport, Minister of Communication, Minister of Employment and Vocational. So me personally, I don't take Tchiroma serious because if I know how the system works, somebody who have been working with Mr. Biya, Tchiroma should know better. At the end of the day, Mr. Tchiroma have got only one option. The option is either accept what they offered me at my age and go and stay in Garua because Mr. Tchiroma was the one. Sometime there was rumor that Mr. Tchiroma have passed away. He came and he was saying that rubbish and was praising Mr. Biya, was made sure he went abroad for medical treatment. So I don't take these people serious. They're birds of the same feather. I don't care about Tchiroma. When I come on this program, I want us to talk as people, we people, because one day I will not be alive. Other people will come. I'm not interested in Kamto, Tchiroma, this. We, the people, what can the people do? That's what's important. Chris, you're in America. Very soon they'll be celebrating 250 years of independence. They don't talk about people. People come and go. This politics of personality called must stop because Tchiroma have got no power. Tchiroma, I'm a lawyer. I know what Tchiroma is doing. Tchiroma is a refugee. He is a refugee. He has got no choice. They don't beg him. He's an individual. His brother that they used to be in the same political party, Bello Buba, is in Cameroon. Matter of fact, their brother have been in detention in prison for how many years? They don't talk about it. So when we talk about individual, a country is a country. I want us to talk about a country because one day me and you will not be there. And I always like to look. We should fight for a country, not individual. They give Tchiroma 9 ministers. What do they do? What did Mr. Tchiroma do as Minister of Transport? The roads in Cameroon are one of the worst in the world. What did Mr. Tchiroma do about as Minister of Communication? He said that what there is no Anglophone problem and 6,000 people or more have been killed because of Mr. Tchiroma pronouncement. Mr. Tchiroma has been Minister of Employment and Vocational Training. What employment is he creating? A minister in Cameroon is window dressing exercise. All of us, you, Chris Arnold, Sama Thomas, myself, I can go and negotiate with La Republique and they make me a minister, but I will not help the people. A minister is for yourself and your family. So sometimes, if you want to change the Cameroon, it's a difficult task. I accept that. because the people running the Cameroon is not Paul Biya. It's not Paul Biya running the Cameroon. It's European business people. UK, where I'm living, is being run by what? European business people. America is run by Western business people. So at the end of the day, sometimes we talk as if it's Mr. Biya. Mr. Biya makes us, he's fake. He's a fake president because he has not got supreme authority. He cannot decide whether he wants federalism or what. Mr. Biya hasn't got the power. The videos are there. This man, Macron, said unveil decentralization. It's Macron who proposed it, although it doesn't exist because I live in a country where we have decentralization. So sometimes we should face the fact, and I'm glad you made the statement clear because you say Mr. Biya wants to change the constitution because he wants to. Mr. Biya is a monarchy. King Charles will not spend 44 years in power. Cameroon is already a monarchy. Because at the end of the day, they just shortfall to tell us it's a monarchy. Nobody, no normal human being to be president for 44 years. In the UK, to be prime minister for 10 years means you're a king, you're powerful.
In fact,
So how can somebody be there? So at the end of the day, I will not be surprised. People will say, oh, Chiroma betrayed us. No. Chiroma has got his right to go and negotiate his life, his private life. But what I see, what we need in the Cameroons, to me, I will always maintain it, is a sovereign national congress. It's not about Chris, it's not about Sama Toma, it's not about me. A sovereign national conference. Because if you look at our constitution, there have never been a time where the people have come and drafted their constitution. In order to draft a constitution, you need what? A constituent assembly. It's not about parliamentarians. You need people to come from all the nooks and crannies of the country to come and sit because, as I say, constitution is about people's culture, tradition, belief. It's not about the artificial thing that they have created. It used to be 7 provinces. Today it's 10 regions. It's a fiction
You know,
because we.
you know as well as we do that what they are talking about is window dressing and not anything that places anybody. In fact, they are doing it because of the situation they find themselves, the Ambazonian conflict, the Issa Tchiroma debate about the October 12th election. They are not doing this as a child of necessity. They are doing so because they have to do it to survive. And the end result they are looking for is for their survivor, not for the interest of the country. So when you're talking about a grand national dialogue or constitutional conference, as you put it, that is out of their agenda.
I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying, in an ideal state, like in America, the people in 1787, they call a constitutional convention in Philadelphia. And they call all what? All the 13 colonies and 12 of the colonies they were there to determine the constitution of America, except the Rhode Island, that's the only state that was not there. But as I say, these people are there for their interest. And if you ask them, I laugh sometimes. You're asking people who are there, they know if they play the Gorbachev effect, it will affect all of them. So I know they can never do that. And there's only one solution. Either they start fighting themselves, or there's somebody who have got the gunpowder. Nothing will ever happen because they have to protect their state. These people are not running the Cameroon for the interest of the people of Cameroon. And to me, if you ask me, there's only one objective in the Cameroons at the moment. Mr. Biya wants to die in power and have a state burial. So all the other things that we are talking on this platform is Biya. He wants to protect. He doesn't want Aijo's effect to happen to him. These people, they don't care. That's why I look at them. There's what I want. There's what Sama wants. There's what you want. We know that. But these people, they have the guns given by Western Europeans. They give them the guns. to oppress us so that they can be running the country while they take the gold, the diamond, the timbers, or whatsoever. I've seen a couple of African leaders that say, oh, we are not going to export this. Why do you keep on exporting your thing? Ask the Western country to come and open industry in your country. Don't export it. But the problem is these people are not running the Cameroons or Africa for our interest. We know that even Tchiroma, put Tchiroma there, he will not change Cameroon. Tchiroma will not tell you about how are you going to stop France manufacturing our money. Tchiroma will not tell you how do you stop France controlling our monetary policy. Tchiroma will not tell you that we from Southern Cameroon, they talk about federalism. That's why I don't use that word federalism. I said they should equal status. You should respect that two countries came together like Scotland and England. Tchiroma will talk for put Tchiroma there, nothing will change. I'm the one telling you. Put Kamto there, nothing will change. These people, they don't talk about us as if we came together on equal terms. So at the end of the day, I look at all of them. There's only solution to trigger Article 65 of their constitution, the right to self-determination for British Southern Cameroon to leave. So I presume when they talk about their revision, they are not going to remove Article 65 because they have an article in their constitution that we have a right to leave La République du Cameroon.
All right, and that is why I wrote The Hypocrisy of the West. The Hypocrisy of the West. Sama, I will get back to you, but before we do so, let's take a brief break back, and when I am back, I will let you respond to Maitre Alice there. Stay put, please.
The West lectures the world about democracy, then it bankrolls dictators. It condemns oppression, then it congratulates stolen elections. In this book, The Hypocrisy of the West, veteran journalist Chris Enu exposes the double standards that define modern global politics. From Africa to the Middle East and beyond, Western powers present themselves as champions of freedom, while quietly propping up.
Hello, Chris Anu here, inviting you to join me and others this weekend for the global launch of my book, The Hypocrisy of the West. The Hypocrisy of the West. In Africa, the West preaches freedom but protects dictators. The West demands reform but rewards fraud and repression. Who says migration begins at the border? It begins where democracy dies. When change is unattainable, citizens leave, Africans leave. They cross deserts, they drown at sea, they vanish in the jungles. Those who arrive, the same Western powers that maintain these African dictators, call them illegal. This is not accident, this is policy. Again, join the explosive global launch of The Hypocrisy of the West this Saturday, February the 28th, featuring special speakers Professor Carlson Ayangwe, Susan Gaze, Eric Chinje, and other powerful voices. You can log in at 4 p.m. And right there on your screen, you want to be at the launch. All you need to do now is scan the code, the QR code on your screen. You scan that code, it gives you the Zoom link to the launch on Saturday. Everybody is welcome to log in. Again, we're going to be hearing from Professor Carson Ayangwe, who is a great historian on Cameroon and African affairs, and of course, international politics. Also joining will be Susan Gaze, leader, the CEO of Pathway Finders for Peace, a U.S. NGO based in Colorado, here in the USA. And of course, Eric Chinje, my friend, will be joining the panel. And in that session, I will take some time to explain the burden with which I wrote that book, The Hypocrisy of the West. I look forward to seeing year 11, or before that, they changed it again. And then I think they changed it again. In that time, they gave Biya an eternal presidency. An eternal presidency. The rule of an emperor who dies in office. And now, I see, again, this is my opinion. Biya cannot survive another 7 years in that office. And what I perceive here is they see the need to kind of sway the interest of the people to say, well, okay, let's do away with this eternal presidency. Maybe if the people hear this, they will say, okay, after all, let's just allow Biya to rule. After all, he cannot stand again. Could this be what they are trying to achieve?
I don't think a monkey has ever changed or will ever change its spot. Any La Republican citizen who sits there and think that those guys in the CPDM are ready at any given moment to bring a meaningful change in that country, that person is living in a dreamland that will never come to pass. For that person who is in parliament from the CPDM is there prepared to die as a parliamentarian with Paul Biya there as Mr. President. Because without Mr. Paul Biya there as president, he is not a parliamentarian as well. Like I've earlier said, what those guys wants to change is to make Paul Biya a king, for Paul Biya to turn around and make them lords for life. But once you are a lord, you are there for life. That is the only change these guys can bring about in that country. So, with this in mind, I've been with funny people in life that are invited by their killers, and they will go there to sit and drink, calling these horrible people honorables. Instead of going to kill these horrible people, but that's the only thing you can do with these guys. You know, this is the person that is putting his knee on your neck. But the least moment you have to breathe, the same person is inviting you to come and get a glass of water, which is a poisonous gift, and you are running there to take. Honorable is inviting you to come and get a glass of water. You are calling him honorable. When did you elect him to be honorable? That horrible that you fail to call him horrible is about to make himself Lord. That's the only constitutional change he can make. What can you do as an individual to change the situation? To La Republican citizens, I am proposing, if you are living with these horribles in your neighborhood, to serve yourself, to remove their knees from your neck, go for their own neck. That is the only salvation for La Republic. Anybody who thinks that there can be a constitutional change in La Republic that will better his frustration, that person is not living in that country, for it will never happen. So go for those that their knees are on their neck. Go for their own neck. If you do not do that in La Republic, forget, there's no constitutional amendment in that country that is geared to better any citizen of that country. All they would do is how to consolidate their own power for life. There is nothing they can change. Like we've been saying in this platform all along, like I've been crying, shouting all along, the only thing La Republican citizens can do, and Southern Cameroonians, is anybody you see that passes by your side, calling himself a CPJ militant, that person is good. It's worse than a dead body that needs to be buried. Once a person is gone, if you don't bury that person, he will soon cause a nuisance in the society. Stench will kill you. So for you to avoid that situation, bury that dead body. That is how you treat any CPTM person around you, from CPTM militant, from these guys who call themselves councillors and mayors, from anybody who calls himself horrible, as I'm calling them, and senators. Send them to their graves if you want to change your own situation. When this is done, and the country is now a free for all, the people can now come together and say, okay, these tormentors are gone. What can we do to now fix our country to be good for each and every citizen of the nation? That is where they can be talking about a constitutional revision or form a constitutional committee. There is nothing in that country to be revised as a constitution. It does not exist.
All right, gentlemen. Let's move to another subject here. The subject of Fon Chafa, the king of Bangolan, returning to the people, promising to return as, in the order essentially of Jesus entering Jerusalem. I'd like you to listen to a statement that he put out in, I don't know where he was, but he put out a statement in a meeting. I'd like you to listen to him, please.
We are forgiven the time and place. For those of you who believe that God exists, you think that when I say in public every day that forgive me, you say you will not forgive, you think that God is not registering. When he registers, it reaches a certain level. He now knows your heart, that you are forgiven. He takes over the file, and he'll fight for you. So, I'm telling the world, they say, let me tell you, I've not been going to Bangola, not because I'm afraid, because they are posting that they have made person that I cannot enter Bangola. You people should be prepared. It's not too long from now, you see me in Bangola.
All right, not too long. People have been saying I'm not going to Bangolan because I am afraid, but not too long, he says, not too long from now, he will enter Bangolan. Now, he is saying this in the backdrop of the funds of Ngoke Twinjia simply putting out a statement fraternizing with him as a fellow Fon or a fellow king, essentially saying what the kingmakers of Bangolan did was out of place. And so, Fon Chafa, they say, remains the king. They recognize king, the legitimate king of Bangolan. Let me start with you, Sama, because that culture is very close to where you are coming from. What are the kingmakers going to do when Fon Chafa appears in Bangolan? And what are the people going to do? Will they welcome him or say, you are no longer our king?
No, they might not welcome him. What I see from what Chafa is saying is that he's gonna use La Republique's military for when people like him tend to be what they are. Their own quiffon becomes La Republique military that protects them to go back to the village. So they are not going there as the people's fund, but they are going as La Republique's agent that would terrorize his own subjects. Traditionally, the quiffon is the parliament of every village or fondom in Bamenda. Any decision that the quiffon sat and take, that decision holds. And before, A person like Chafa, for Chafa will not make that statement if the Quifon was still the Quifon in Bamenda. For as he makes that statement, if he goes back to that village, he will not sleep for one day. They will bury him alive. That is the Quifon. The Quifon will bury him alive. But now he will take the military to the palace. The military will guard him there. Anybody that passes by will be killed, or they send the military to the various houses of members of the Quifon, and they arrest you there or kill you there. That is how these guys operate. But without that, Von Chaffa cannot go back to Bangolan as a fund to impose himself on the people of Bangolan. The people of Bangolan has dethroned him, and it stands. When the people of Babanki dethroned the fund of Babanki, he escaped to Mangon and lived there for maybe 5 or so years. The fund of Mangon warned him when he started agitating that he wanted to go back to Babanki. The fund of Mangon warned him, do not go back to Babanki. He left without listening to that warning and advice. When he went to Babanki, who killed the fund of Babanki? The Takumba killed the fund of Babanki, and that was the end of it. Story goes nowhere. So if Chaffa is insisting that he's going to go back to Bangolan, the Quifon might not even kill him. It will be the Takumba of Bangolan that will kill him. Let me say this again.
Takumba, comrade, it's interesting that you invoke Takumbeng. I don't know anybody Takumbeng has killed.
No, the Takumbeng of Babanki killed the fund of Babanki. The dethroned fund of Babanki. It was the Takumbeng that killed him. Let me tell you a story.
If Takumbeng is that powerful.
Let me tell you a story. No, just listen. Let me tell you a story. In 1991, during the heydays of the ghost towns in Bamenda and Mankon, there was a day the fund of Mankon left station with those funny bitches. When he left back to Mankon, he bumped into the Takumbeng, and when he bumped into the Takumbeng, he asked his driver, send this car to the bush. They drove the fund of Mankon inside the bush. So, Comrade Chris, the Takumbeng is not something that you can play with in Bamenda. It will baffle you to hear that the wife of Beluk Rene, Beluk Rene, the first wife of Beluk Rene died. It was a Takumbeng that killed that lady. Beluk Rene carried that lady to France, but that lady said, Takumbeng c'est quoi? Takumbeng na wechi. When she left, a certain ailment before that lady, there was no hospital that could diagnose it or cure her till she went to the grave. So people who know the Takumbeng in Bamenda, they do not joke with it. A fund who knows what it is, do not play with it. You don't open your eyes and see it. If you know what it is, you will not stand there for the go and meet you. You will run.
You know, somehow we imported Takumbeng right here into America and in Europe at the beginning of this Ambazonian
No, that is something else. That's not Takumbeng.
Oh, that's just Takumbeng. Okay. Yes. Because we didn't say anything. But how about the time of Frundi? Takumbeng was there at a city campus roundabout almost on a daily or weekly basis, and Frundi still did not go to the presidency.
No, it's not a matter of going to the presidency. It's a matter of those that were at the scene. Okay. The soldiers that were in Bamenda at the scene that defies that secret code. Like here in Europe or in the Western world, you might commit a crime, and you say, but that person commit the same crime. What have you done to him? When your penalty is coming to your house, it is you as an individual that takes that bill to pay to the state. They do not say it publicly that because many people committed this crime, so we are sending this bill publicly. No, they send it individually to your house. Then you committed this havoc, so and so the place, so and so the day. This is your bill. You have to pay this cost to the state.
All right.
So,
yeah, finish your talk. Finish your talk.
So that is the same with the Takumba. For those soldiers, when I put a state of emergency in Bamenda, the last day before the soldiers left from this vicinity, it was the Takumba. When they were coming, the few Bamenda boys that were embedded within the so-called military circles turned their backs. But the Francophones who were there were asking, Takumba c'est quoi? One died there at the spot. It wasn't a matter of let them go and die in the village. No, at that spot, one died there at the spot. We do not know what happens to the rest. For when it happens, if you are not cleansed, you will die. Communication, it is true, you will die. So we don't know who dies, when, and how, but they die.
All right. We will leave the power of Takumbeng to Takumbeng. I really thought if some of these things could help us. What is it that the Amba boys were using? That thing they were getting in Nigeria. Odeshi, yeah. Odeshi would have really helped. Takumbeng would have helped. It just seems that those things don't work.
No, they work. Let me say something about Odeshi. All those things are coming with a condition. I am giving you this. For you to have this and be protected, you must not do this. For if you do this, this will be the consequence. I will give you an example. Chacha. Do you know that Chacha committed suicide?
He did what? Committed suicide?
Yes, Chacha committed suicide.
No, Chacha was killed by...
No. Go forget it. Chacha committed suicide. I will tell you the circumstances. There was a day Chacha tied a chicken on the tree and was firing on that chicken. I think you still have that video. Search for that video. It was spraying bullets on that chicken. None could cut that chicken. That was the back Chacha was having. And the condition of that back was, never you turn your gun against your brother. The day Chacha killed 3 of his comrades, that did not do away with Eva. That is when Chacha realized that the laws of that bag that I was carrying will no longer hold. So he took his rifle to the war front alone and asked his boys not to follow me, for he knows that his end has come. That bag can no longer work again. So what killed Chacha was a suicide mission.
Well, that's a story that I'm hearing for the first time, because my understanding has always been that the soldiers, La République du Cameroon soldiers who were assisting ADF in an operation that took place within that same week in that vicinity, killed Chacha. But let me turn to Alex Lisenge for 50 seconds on this Fond Chafa's return to Bangula. Now you have the people, you have a government, you have the king. They seem to be, let me put it this way. It appears that the people no longer have a hand in that country in the deciding who becomes their king. Alex, listen here, because we see the government telling the people you can't do what you did, and you have other funds in the same community telling the people we recognize your fund. You don't have to recognize a different fund. We the elite, we the kings in the community will recognize these guys and this guy and not you. So where is the place? Where is the place of the people of Bangolan here?
Yeah, I'll tell you how things are today because, like you say, Sama Thomas is closer to those people. I will tell you that I'm a prince from Bali Nyonga. My grandmother was Galiga, so I know those things. I know. Because when I talk too much Mola, my titles are too long. I cannot add Prince of Bali Nyonga on my title. So I'm part of it. My mom came from Bali Nyonga. So I know all those things. And my point is, when it comes to this traditional rule, I happen to know this from Chafa, the son. I was with him. I have some friends from that area. Some of them are in America, doctors or what. So I met him in Cameroon. I know the son. So the point is, when I look at it in a general perspective, what is the role of traditional rulers? Sometimes they will tell us they are auxiliary of administration and they accept it. I will never be an indigenous ruler in a country. Then Atanganji come and say, I'm not auxiliary. I will never accept that as a thing. They are supposed to be what? Cultural and custodian to our tradition, beliefs, and values. They don't do that. They belong to the CPDM. They are supposed to do what? Conflict resolution. I know for Nangwa, for although it was CPDM, he used to solve problem, land problem, other things. I saw it. I know for Nangwa. So at least he was doing those things, although he was still a CPDM member. And you come around about development, intermediary, or what? Security and policing for your people. At the end of the day, how can you be a fun or a traditional chief and you're living in Yaoundé? Is that normal? At the end of the day, I saw something. He said, look, the people who dethrone him, they are new people. So what? So if new people, they come, they dethrone you, what does it mean? So why should our traditional form, why do they want to be senator? They want to be go to Enam or what to belong to the La Republique institution. My great-grand-uncle from Galiga of Bali Nyonga is one of the people that Aijo used to go to Bali and see them. So they were not going for Enam or what? To me personally, a fund should be impartial. They should not be part of politics. In the United Kingdom, I could say the king is like a fund. He does it, he's neutral when it comes to politics. To me, when you are a fund or a chief, you get involved into politics, they should put it in election. People should vote because you're calling on people. I remember when Mr. Biya first came to power, Mr. Biya said, funds cannot be parliamentarian, they cannot be this. Then when I realized that you need these people in order to steal elections, so they brought them in again. So these funds are not good for us. They are not helpful for us. I know there are 1 or 2 or 3 of them, they are good. So at the end of the day, we should put it to the fund. Do you want to be a custodian of our culture and values? Or do you want to do politics with CPDM? If you want to do politics with CPDM, open it. Anybody, Sama Thomas can stand to protect his custom and tradition. Chris Arnold can stand to protect it. If you want to do politics, you should open it for a ballot. It should not be a particular family. That's the way I'm looking at it. Because these people are rulers. Let's not pretend. Before this colonial insert, they came to Africa. These people were the one running our communities. So, but now, because most of them They look at what the government of La Republique can give them. Then they have forgotten about their tradition. It was a long time I saw the phone of Bali. It was like a refugee in Yaoundé or whatever. I heard now he has gone back there, maybe it's true or what. So you as a phone, how come when Fonangwafo was phone of Manko, the late Fonangwafo, he was there even at this crisis? Why is it that people were not killing him or doing whatsoever? I presume because he was relating to the people. I presume the current phone of Manko is doing the same thing. I presume the current phone of Bafut is doing the same thing. So you as a phone, you should be able to meet your people. But unfortunately, the Biya government have made them to be a beggar. Because to me, if you're a phone, you can never die of hunger. You can never suffer because the people can always give money, they can do things for you. So to me, I don't believe personally that as a fund of a country or a village, you can never suffer. So why are they so greedy? I saw the fund of Bali. I saw a beautiful thing. People have contributed a lot of money. They are renovating the palace of Bali. It's so beautiful. The money is coming from the people. So what do you want to do with the government of La Republique? Why can't you be neutral? Tell the government I want to be on my own. But unfortunately, human beings, they are so greedy. And at the end of the day, this fund, as I'm sure Sama Thomas made it clear, when they go there, they don't go on their own. They will go there, they give some few people money, then they will come with La Republique military, then they will make a shout, oh, we are there like Jesus Christ. At the end of the day, they cannot go and walk in their own, let me call it their own tribe. They cannot walk there. They go there. At the end of the day, they are protected with ease. And for me, these people are part of the problem we have in Southern Cameroon. They are the problem.
All right, gentlemen, stay put in there. I'll be right back. Hello, Chris Anu here, inviting you to join me and others this weekend for the global launch of my book, The Hypocrisy of the West. The Hypocrisy of the West. In Africa, the West preaches freedom but protects dictators. The West demands reform but rewards fraud and repression. Who says migration begins at the border? It begins where democracy dies. When change is unattainable, citizens leave, Africans leave. They cross deserts, they drown at sea, they vanish in the jungles. Those who arrive, the same Western powers that maintain these African dictators, call them illegal. This is not accident, this is policy. Again, join the explosive global launch of the Hypocrisy of the West this Saturday, February the 28th, featuring special speakers Professor Carlson Ayangwe, Susan Gaze, Eric Chinje, and other powerful voices. Again, the date is Saturday, February the 28th, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 4 p.m. West African time. Look for the Zoom link and be there. Hello. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that launch, the book launch, is coming up on Saturday, as you heard in that advertorial, starting 10 a.m. Eastern U.S. time, 9 a.m. Central U.S. time, and if you are in West or Central Africa, that will be 4 p.m. We have made it very easy for you to get the Zoom link. It will be a Zoom event, a virtual event, and it is open for everyone. It is open for everyone. And right there on your screen, you have a link to the Zoom link. If you use your phone to scan that link anytime, even after this show, you get the Zoom link into the book launch on Saturday. So if on Saturday you do not have the regular Zoom link, all you need to do is look for this broadcast scan that QR code you find on your right, and it will lock you right into the book launch. Again, we're going to be having as speakers Professor Carlson Ayamwe, we're going to be having Susan Gaze, and my friend Eric Chinje, again on the Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 4 p.m. West African time. You can scan the QR code you find on your screen for the Zoom link for that event. And again, it is open to everyone. And you don't have to be Ambazonian, you don't have to be Cameroonian, you don't have to be African. You can be anybody from any part of the world who has interest in what the West, the double standards that the West implements in Africa. I'll be right back. When I come back, the next focus is on Apostle John Chi. Apostle John Chi in Boya. You don't want to miss that. You really do not want to miss that. And after that monologue, we'll open the phone lines and take your calls. Stay tuned, please. All right, thank you for staying put, ladies and gentlemen. At this moment, I bring you my second monologue, which is focused on this preacher in Boya who has become a subject of controversy over the social media. You all know this guy, they call him an apostle. And he lives in Boya, operates a growing ministry out of Boya. I really don't do this a lot. I really do not do this a lot. That is talking about preachers, men of God. People claim to be men of God. Something comes with being a man of God. It means there are certain standards that are expected of you. And so you find John Chi, ladies and gentlemen, having some controversial issues being associated with him. And I have read it, and what triggered this monologue I am about to bring to you is the alleged arrest in Ghana of one of the social media bloggers who championed these allegations. In recent months, disturbing allegations have circulated across the social media regarding the man you find on your screen, Apostle John Chi of Boya. These claims, serious in nature, involve accusations of sexual misconduct and abuse of spiritual authority. The allegations, lastly amplified by a blogger called Madeline Awi, have sparked outrage, division, and deep concern within the Christian community and the general public, especially in the southern Cameroons. Let us be clear. Allegations are not convictions. Accusations are not proof. But silence in the face of credible public concern is not leadership. What makes this matter troubling is not merely the accusations themselves. It is the manner in which the situation appears to be unfolding. Reports indicate that Madeline Awi was recently arrested in Ghana. Questions have been raised about whether Apostle John Chi or individuals connected to him may have played a role in that lady's arrest. If that is not true, then it must be clearly denied. But if it is true, then the implications are dire, they are serious. Because here is the fundamental issue. When someone makes allegations, however uncomfortable, the proper response in a civilized society is not intimidation. It is accountability, especially when you are a public figure. If Apostle John Chi is innocent of the claims circulating about him, the strongest and most powerful weapon available to him is transparency. Address the allegations directly. Provide clarity. Submit to independent scrutiny. If the accusations are defamatory, file a lawsuit. Go to court. Demand evidence. Force your accusers to present proof under oath. That is how innocence defends itself. But if instead the first instinct is to silence, intimidate, or allegedly use influence to secure arrest across borders, then questions naturally multiply. Because when power is used against a whistleblower, observers begin to wonder, what is being protected? In the age of digital media, suppression does not erase allegations, it amplifies them. Attempting to shut down a voice often gives that voice greater credibility in the eyes of the public. I have personally, ladies and gentlemen, I have personally spoken to this lady called Madeleine Ewi. I am not presenting her claims as established fact, but I can say this. She did not sound like someone inventing stories for entertainment. She spoke with conviction. She spoke with detail. She spoke like someone who believes she has inside knowledge. That does not make her correct, not at all. But it does demand that her claims be examined, not buried. We have seen similar controversies unfold elsewhere. In Nigeria, for example, Apostle Chris Okafor faced public allegations involving Nollywood actress Doris Ogala. That matter became messy, controversial, emotional, but it entered the legal system in Nigeria. Statements were made publicly. Legal channels were pursued. Whether one agrees with how it unfolded or not, there was at least a visible engagement with process. The comparison here is not about guilt. It is about approach. When allegations surface, leaders have two choices: confrontation through law and transparency, or suppression through power and influence. If Apostle John Chi had absolutely nothing to hide, the logical response would be to confront the allegations against him head on, hold a press conference, invite questions, submit to independent scrutiny, the defamation suits if necessary, demand proof. Instead, what the public sees or believes it sees is a blogger arrested in another country, in Ghana, amid allegations that powerful hands were involved. If that perception is false, it must be corrected immediately and with evidence. If it is true, then this is not merely a church controversy, a church scandal. It becomes a matter of abuse of influence. Let us elevate this beyond personalities. The broader issue here, ladies and gentlemen, is spiritual accountability. Religious institutions carry immense moral authority. When pastors preach holiness but are accused of private misconduct, sexual abuse, the damage is not only personal, it shakes faith itself. It wounds congregations and believers. It disillusions the Christians and the believers. Sexual exploitation allegations within churches are not new across Africa or the world. In many cases, victims remain silent because of fear, because of shame, loyalty, and because of intimidation. Power imbalances between spiritual leaders and congregants make accountability difficult. That is precisely why transparency in churches matters. If there are no victims, let that be proven through lawful examination. If there are victims, they deserve justice, not silence. Let this be clearly stated. Anyone who believes they have been harmed in Chi's church, they should seek legal counsel and report to the appropriate authorities in their jurisdiction. Justice must operate within the law. No one is above it. Not a blogger, not a pastor or a minister, not a media platform. As a media institution, ABS stands for accountability and truth. We do not convict people on television by way of rumor, but we also do not ignore credible public concern. If individuals believe they have evidence, if you believe you have evidence of wrongdoing by Apostle John Chi, then reach out to us, to ABS. We will treat information responsibly, verify independently, and ensure that any reporting adheres to legal standards and journalistic ethics. Let no one misinterpret this as a campaign against John Chi. This is not an attack on Christianity. I am a Christian myself, a believer in that place. It is a demand for integrity. If Apostle John Chi is innocent, the most powerful move he can make within the next few days is this: publicly address these allegations, sir. Deny clearly and unequivocally if false. Invite independent scrutiny or investigation. Pursue legal defamation remedies if necessary. Clarify any connection to the reported arrest in Ghana of Madeleine Ewi. 5 days is more than enough time to issue a statement, because silence is no longer a strategy in 2026. It is an admission of weakness in the court of public opinion. Let me end where I began. Allegations are not proof, but intimidation, if proven, speaks loudly. Cameroon and Africa, more broadly, is entering an era where spiritual authority will be tested by public scrutiny. The age of unquestioned pulpits is fading. Leaders must understand that moral leadership demands openness. Again, moral leadership demands openness. The truth, whatever it may be, will eventually surface. The only question is whether it will surface through transparent engagement or through escalating confrontation. The ball is in the court of John Chi. Address the allegations, sirs. Clarify the facts. Let due process speak. And let the truth, not fear, prevail. And that is my talking point, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get back to my guests for a brief conversation on this before I open the phone lines. let me get back to Metro Lissinger. You listen to that monologue there. I'm not so sure whether you have read some of those allegations yourself online. Have you?
Yeah, Chris, I try to get informed and I try to know what is happening, whether it's local, internationally, and I do that, which is very important. But unfortunately for us in the Cameroon, people have a right to make allegations. And when they make the allegation, they have, I'm telling you, it's something is a field that I practice in the United Kingdom. If I go and make an allegation, a woman come and say, this person have done A, B, C to me. What do? They will arrest the person, they will question you, they will interview you, then they will look at the evidence, then they will make a decision. Unfortunately, in the Cameroons, we don't do that. We don't do that. I don't know this man personally, but I've seen something what they say about people. Anybody can make an allegation. It doesn't mean, as you said on your monologue, it doesn't mean the person who is saying that this person have abused me is right. But at the end of the day, it must be investigated by the local police. But in the Cameroons, we have people who are so powerful. They have connections. And whatever people say, the women they say, nobody cares. I've seen videos years upon years ago. Underage girl say police, they intimidated them. They wanted to sleep with them. They want them. That is one of the things nobody is talking about in the Cameroon. My point is, at the end of the day, some ladies have made allegations. It doesn't matter whether is it Apostle John G. When they make allegation, if they say Maitre Alex Lissinger have done this, they should invite me for interview. They should arrest me. Arrest doesn't mean you have done anything wrong. Then they will interview me, then they will investigate the matter. Either they say no further action or they charge you and it goes to court. We don't see this in the Cameroon. That's why I say these people, they don't know how to run a country. Because if you know how to run a country, you protect people. Allegation doesn't mean somebody have done something. At the end of the day, as you said, I don't think it's up to Apostle Chi to come and talk about it. It's up to the police. That lady that you said to make a complaint to the police. They will go and arrest Apostle John Chi. They will interview him. Then they will look at the evidence. That's how it works in a civilized country. One of the most powerful men, powerful for more than how many years? Peter Madison. He has been arrested, interviewed by the police in the UK. This was somebody who put Tony Blair in power. This was somebody who controlled Gordon Brown, the former prime minister. They are people. Power, it doesn't matter. The law should be above everything. And this is the difficulties we cannot get the grips in our country, in the Cameroon. Because at the end of the day, it's not about individual. I don't know this man. People make allegations. And to me, I've seen a lot of things that people say on social media. And I wouldn't just stand and say those people are wrong. And Apostle Chi too, I don't know him. He cannot just go and say anything that will implicate him. So I don't blame him too much for being silent. If he wants to talk, he could only come and say, I've done nothing wrong. But at the end of the day, he should be arrested and he should be interviewed. Then there should be an investigation. Unfortunately, we are living in a zoo. People think they govern the Cameroons. They don't govern. It's a zoo. Everybody does what he wants to do. Because at the end of the day, the only thing Apostle Chi can say to me, people are making allegations with me, I don't know them, I don't know that, it ends there. He cannot say further to implicate himself. But the people who are supposed to do the business is what? It's the police. They have to arrest him, call him for interview. But unfortunately, It's man no man. People who have monies in the Cameroon, they are more powerful, and that's it. I'm not saying it in reference to Apostle John. I'm saying in Cameroon, when you have your connection, it's difficult for people to arrest you. You know the police, you know the procureur, as they call it, you know this. So it's difficult. So a normal human being, a poor person, cannot have justice in the Cameroon because the laws are just dressing exercise.
Sama, your thought on this before we open the phone lines?
Like Metro Lesinga is saying, once you have money in La Republic Cameroon, that is the law. For the law does not exist. I followed one lady over the social media on this same issue about John Chi with a member of his church. But I don't really also blame John Chi. The people I blame are are his followers. Is it just everybody that comes calling himself an apostle that you follow? Where were you before that you are following this guy? What is this guy, Jesus Christ? The people are victims because we are not patient enough to follow Jesus Christ. So when we see anybody coming presenting himself as Christ, we follow him, not knowing that these are vultures waiting to devour their prey. That is what is happening in Africa. If you come to Europe, people are not running after these people the way we are running after them in Africa. God is nowhere. Jesus Christ is not in a church that you go looking for. Just be humble where you are and get the gospel of Christ where you are. Do not be running after people to go and get the gospel. If you are
No,
running after people,
comrade, I differ. I seem to differ with you there because, listen, people need knowledgeable men of God to sit under and be inspired to live a good Christian life. But when it comes to the preacher, the very preacher trying to take advantage of you, I think alarm bells should be rang, and people walk away, and if possible, the man be held under scrutiny and made to account for the abuses.
that is why I describe them as vultures. A vulture is coming. If a vulture does not have its prey, it will not sprout its wings in that area. It will go about looking for other prey. Let me say the complete priest. Somebody wrote something today about the gospel in Africa, in Cameroon, and in the southern Cameroons. The question now I ask is, who can we trust in the southern Cameroons for being a true preacher? For what is happening now down there is those that were to protect us as victims have aligned with those that are in power, destroying us. The writer described it. You see somebody's knee on my neck as a preacher, or somebody strangulating me to the point of death. Instead of you coming for my rescue, you stood there pretending that you are praying, and that person strangulated me to death. Does that prayer have any use to my person for having allowed that person to kill me? So this is the problem that is going on in our country, in the southern Cameroons, and Africa as a whole. Beware of these guys when they come preaching to you. Interrogate them. Investigate them well before following them. It is not everybody that comes with the Bible pretending to be a preacher that you must follow him. That is the first warning. Because people like John Chi will always come, but they are not bringing the gospel to you. They are coming as vultures to prey on you. Beware of them. I do not support people going after these people coming to tell you as how they are apostles. Apostles how Jesus appointed them and left long time ago. They too followed Jesus long time ago. And another one is coming to tell you he's an apostle. Apostle how? Who made him apostle?
Somehow I would disagree again with you there. I think if you understood your Bible quite well, you will realize that apostles will always be there, just as Christ was there. But let's leave it there. And I promise, ladies and gentlemen, to come back to this story because we will dig it to the bottom of it to find out if it is true. If it is true that these sexual abuses are actually taking place in the, what is the name of that church? Is it Covenant, Ark of God Covenant, something. It's a very popular church, a very popular ministry out there in Boya, if not the most popular charismatic ministry in all of Ambazonia, La République du Cameroon included. But again, we will stay on it and find out whether these allegations are true. And Apostle John Chi is welcome to come on this show to talk about what he knows about these allegations. And we are hoping that when this lady, Madeleine Ewe, is finally free, she would come on this show to explain exactly what happened and what she knows. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, I'll open the phone lines for you to come in and share with us your thoughts on all that you have learned today. So please, stay put. We're going to be right back. We're going to be right back in a few minutes. We'll be right back in a few minutes. Let me leave you with the phone, Bale Kumbat. All right, I'll be right back with your phone calls.
We are forgiven the time and place for not here. For those of you who believe that God exists, you think that when I say in public every day that forgive me, you say you will not forgive, you think that God is not registering. When He registers, it reaches a certain level. He now knows your heart, that you are forgiven. He takes over the file, and He'll fight for you. So, I'm telling the world, they say, let me tell you, I've not been going to Bangola, not because I'm afraid, because they are posting that they have made person that I cannot enter Bangola. You people should be prepared. It's not too long from now, you see me in Bangola.
Hello, Chris Ano here, inviting you to join me and others this weekend for the global launch of my book, The Hypocrisy of the West. The Hypocrisy of the West. In Africa, the West preaches freedom but protects dictators. The West demands reform but rewards fraud and repression. Who says migration begins at the border? It begins where democracy dies. When change is unattainable, citizens leave, Africans leave. They cross deserts, they drown at sea, they vanish in the jungles. Those who arrive, the same Western powers that maintain these African dictators, call them illegal. This is not accident, this is policy. Again, join the explosive global launch of The Hypocrisy of the West this Saturday, February the 28th, featuring special speakers Professor Carlson Ayangwe, Susan Gates, Eric Chinje, and other powerful voices. Again, the date is Saturday, February the 28th, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 4 p.m. West African time. Look for the Zoom link and be there. Hello. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying put. Again, just as a reminder, this book launch is happening this Saturday, that is February the 28th, 10 a.m. Eastern time, Eastern U.S. time. 9 a.m. Central US time, and 4 p.m. If you are in Africa, West or Central Africa, that will be the period. Now, it is going to be a Zoom or virtual event. If you need to come in, that is just in case you do not receive the link to log into the Zoom meeting, what you can do is scan the QR code on your right hand side of the screen. You scan your QR code on the right hand side of the screen, and you will get the link into the Zoom meeting. If you don't want to do it today and you don't have the link by tomorrow or by Saturday, come back to this video on YouTube and just again scan on the QR code, and you will be logged into that Zoom launch on the Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 4 p.m. West and Central Africa time. All right, I really hope to see you there, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we will open the phone lines. I'd like to hear from you to contribute to what we have discussed here in what my panel has discussed. The phone number is right there on your screen. Before you call, make sure that the volume of your set is turned down. Make sure the volume of your set is turned down. For those of you watching who's supposed to be watching by way of satellite, I know we are not on satellite as we come to you live today. I'm hoping that maybe by next week we should get the satellite back on. But again, the phone number is there for you to call, to ask a question, to make an opinion, whatever you want to say. The phone number, the line is open. Go ahead and call, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, Metro Lissinger, while we wait for these phone calls, let me come back to you on the question of the constitutional review waiting in La République du Cameroon, in a hope that that constitutional review will attempt, like in 2019 Grand National Dialogue, to address the Ambazonian question.
The answer is a simple no, because the people who are in power, they are there to make sure that they remain in power forever and forever. Because, you know, you are in the United States. United States will be celebrating 250 years of independence. So it's not about changing constitution all the time. When constitution is like a pillar, a foundation of a house. So why is it that we are changing it? We change it to fit people. And if you look at Africa, every time there's a coup d'etat, they say, oh, we have suspended the constitution. When was the last time that they suspended the constitution in America? So at the end of the day, this constitution is not important in Africa. What we have is politics of personality called. At the end of the day, I read the constitution of the Cameroons religiously. They don't respect the constitution of the Cameroons. So it's just a paper. It's just like a toilet roll that you can use and dump in the toilet. So I don't believe in African constitution. La République. How long have we been the so-called independence? Above 60 years. They keep on changing. America, United States have been there for what? 200. The King of England, I'm sure, is going to come there to celebrate 250 years of independence. So why is it that we keep on changing constitution every time? Why is it that we keep on revising constitution every time? Because we want to suit Cameroons, especially La République. I'm not talking about British Southern Cameroon. La République du Cameroon was constructed, created as a state to remain under France. British Southern Cameroon was not created to remain under British. So at the end of the day, unfortunately, the worst mistake that ever happened to us, we joined these poodles, these puppets. When I'm talking about the people who are running. So at the end of the day, whether we like what or not, they listen to their masters. La République du Cameroon have never been an independent country. La République du Cameroon have never been a sovereign country. Why do I say so? Because at the end of the day, if in 1959 you sign an agreement that you are going to manufacture my money, France CFA, you are going to determine our educational system at all levels. That's ENAM from France, ENS from France, ERIC from France, Gendarmerie from France, military tribunal from France, all the things that they are doing is from France. So they agree in 1959. They were not an independent country. Unfortunately for us, I know some of us Anglophones would like to say, oh, they fool us. Leadership means stand and look at things, don't fool us. We joined these people, and these people, they were never independent. It was transfer of colonialism to say, okay, since these people, they don't like to see those Munzungu, those white faces, let's put their own people in front. Andre Marimbi say, oh, we don't want that. And they told Aijo take over because Andre Marimbi don't want us. So these are the things we should see. So at times, we sit, we talk. I'm talking on your platform. At the end of the day, I try to be realistic. Maybe I don't know how we are going to come out from this colonialism, because they call it neo-imperialism. For me, it's not neo-imperialism. It's handing power to poodles, to puppets, to continue what they were doing. I presume if Ernest Wanji, Nyobe, Felix Mumi, other people,
Okay.
I presume if they would have taken over from La République would have been different. But unfortunately for us, we are in this quagmire, and that's where we are. And I cannot sit and pretend on your platform that this is the solution, because the West is behind it. The people who colonized us are behind it. The people who promoted appetite are behind it. The people who enslaved us are behind it. So sometimes we say, oh, it's Paul Biya, it's Paul Biya. Paul Biya is just a puppet. If Paul Biya is not there, they will look for another puppet. They have been doing that in France and Africa for a long time. So sometimes I look at these things, I know we should look at it sometimes very carefully, because it's all about business, colonial business.
All right, Sama, please, your last thoughts.
Well, like Metal Lisinge is saying, like I've earlier said as well, there is no constitution in La Republique that you can go there to start talking about constitutional revision. Had it been La Republique was talking about a constitutional committee that will sit and come up with a constitution for La Republique, they will be talking about a constitution. And had it been, it was an independent committee that will come up with an independent constitution for La Republique, we can be talking of a constitutional committee. But talking about a constitutional revision, of which there's no constitution to be revised, is something that is disturbing my memory. And if there's a constitutional revision in that quagmire of a country, which constitution are they talking about that they are going to revive, and by who? That is the biggest question we are asking. By that kangaroo parliament, of which there are no constitutional experts in that parliament, who is going to revise what? So it is just, they are just playing for time. They are confused. They don't know what to do again. Every now and then they will come up with something to engage the people on a talking subject that will keep them going. Nothing is happening there. It's just a
All right. All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being part of the broadcast tonight. I look forward to having you back one of these days. Thank you, and you have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And ladies and gentlemen, that will be it for tonight. That will be it for tonight. I look forward to being back here tomorrow. And again, for those of you who's supposed to be watching us by way of satellite but are not, we are hoping, just keep us in your prayers. Keep ABS in your prayers that we are able to turn back the satellite on sometime next week. Before I go, I'd just like to remind you again of my book launch coming up on Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 4 p.m. West in Central Africa time. And again, you need the link, the Zoom link, because this is going to be a Zoom event. You need the link. If one doesn't come to you before then, what you need to do is scan the QR code on your screen. Scan that QR code on your screen, and you will be able to log into that event on Saturday with no problem. On Saturday, if you don't find one, if you don't have this, again, just come back, go back to YouTube, look for this video, and scan that code, and you'll be able to log in. You can pass this information to others too. Once more, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I will be back here tomorrow to discuss other subjects. Until then, I remain your anchor man. See you tomorrow, and good night.
Then it's smart. Muniking Fanja. Usari Maribo. What's a seku, Joseph Woraboy? I remember. 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 That concept, Grandago. Mukuba, Mate, Mechi, Away, Peter, Eno, Ancien Treva, Wangano, Murukwa, Aquaticaba, Elion Atem, Wangano, Aquaticaba, Arremoni, Wangano, Joseph Urabe. Oh, c'est cool, Joseph Urabe. Oh, c'est cool, Joseph Urabe. Oh, c'est cool, Joseph Urabe. I'm worried about beauty. Mama Sunday.